recently you had let me know that you were going to watch Jennifer Lopez's movie musical, right?
Hmm.
Yes.
Yes.
The
Yeah.
movie musical that's not a musical and not a visual album, but somewhere in between. And
Right.
I had seen so much on TikTok about it, and I wasn't planning on watching it, but when you brought it up, I was like, let's talk about it. Let's like review it, analyze it on the podcast, and instead of doing Media Mania like we usually do it, we're just going to really like do a like small mini review of Jennifer Lopez's "This Is Me Now" saga that she
Yes.
has, thrust upon us via Amazon Prime.
This is me now. Her passion project, her magnum
Mm-hmm.
opus,
Yep.
um, with the accompanying documentary, The Greatest Love Story Never Told, that is a half an hour longer than the movie that it's a making of documentary of.
Yeah. And I am going to be very honest with the listeners here. I'm not really like a big J.Lo fan, I guess I have to say, because I was always a fan of her movies, and I didn't really watch her music. I didn't really listen to her music. Sorry, not watch her music. I never really listened to her music, so I feel like This Is Me Now was kind of like my first foray into like Jennifer Lopez, who she is, her career, her past, and I think that was the situation for a lot of people who possibly just
Hmm.
only know Jennifer in a very like cursory glance kind of way. Like I watched um, Maid of Honor. I've watched Monster in Law. I've seen a lot of her movies, if I'm being honest. Listen to her music, not really. Maybe if it's like playing at a party, then I'm like, oh, that's J Lo. You know what I mean? But as many
Yeah.
people know about Jennifer Lopez, many people know that like she's a great dancer. She's from the Bronx. Something other people know also is that like there is a rumor we could say that she does not sing her own songs. That Aaliyah
Hmm.
is famously known for singing a lot of her songs. And so I feel like this was meant to be a passion project to like shut down the haters and let them know like this is how Jenny does it. Like Jenny is a big.
She is an artist. She is a triple threat.
I'm so
Uh,
sorry. I'm meant to take this seriously. I can't.
my actually, I watched both of these movies with a friend of mine. I had plans to watch it with a friend of mine, and we turned it into a bit of a drinking game. But I was telling my friend like my mom has always hated Jennifer Lopez because of the singing thing because she's like I don't get why she's a singer. She's not a singer. And I'm like, yeah, well, I mean, it's I to be fair, a lot of pop stars are that way. She's a dancer, she's a performer. She's amazing as like a rom-com star because she's so pretty. She's so pretty and she's like fine at acting. I don't think she's like the best actress ever, but
Mm.
like she's the the main positive thing that I think my friend and I landed on when we were watching the other night was she's so pretty. She's
Gorgeous.
she's so pretty. She looks great.
Yep.
She's like 52, I think.
Yes, she is.
She looks not a day over 31. Like whoever, like whatever her skincare routine is, like she's figured it out. Uh, both movies are a fucking mess. Am I allowed to curse on here?
Yeah, you can.
Okay.
Yeah.
Both movies are a mess.
Yeah, girl.
I don't know what was going on.
Mm.
Like I said before, like the documentary is about an hour and a half long, and the film itself is less than an hour. Um, it it starts with this like almost kind of like a very Disney-esque prologue about like a what was it like the princess of like of an indigenous culture who like falls in love with someone. And my memory is hazy now because I was drinking while I was watching this.
Uh-huh.
And one of our drinking game rules was to drink every time a CGI hummingbird appeared on screen. So I was already two shots in, like by the
Mm-hmm.
time the prologue ended.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so she falls in love with someone, they get pulled apart, typical Romeo and Juliet style, and
Yes.
then like they need to find each other throughout all their reincarnations. And I was like, at that point, I was like, I'm on board. I am on board for this. That is not the movie we saw, though.
Mm.
The movie we
Yeah.
saw was like a J.Lo insert,
Uh-huh.
um, who like gets married three times and like has a penchant for bad boys that her 25-year-old friends don't like.
And I do want
Um,
to say real quick, at the beginning
yeah.
of the movie, when she mentions like the star-crossed lovers, I in my head I'm
Hmm.
like, oh, is this a real thing? Like, is she pulling from like Puerto Rican
Right. From
history?
actual mythology.
No, it's not.
No.
She's making this up. And then I was like, oh, okay.
Which I would be fine with if then we got that story, like the
Yeah,
story about star-crossed lovers like
yeah,
meeting in another life or whatever, finding one another.
yes.
But yeah, she just like she gets married three to and divorced three times, and
Mm,
then like her growth is like she attends one of her ex's weddings and is like fine with it. Also upstages the bride, dresses in a much flashier dress than the bride is wearing, which I think is a bit rude, but
yeah.
she's fine with it.
I remember when I was like watching that and I saw that, I was just like, that is, it's giving narcissist. But it reminded me of an old interview that I found. I tried to find it again when I was like actually doing the research and building the outline for the podcast. I couldn't find it, but like basically J Lo did an interview in the '90s, I think, and she was talking about a lot of actresses who were also popular around the time that she was popular in the 90s. So
Hmm.
like Winona Ryder, Gwyneth Paltrow, those kind of ladies. And she was
Right.
basically talking about how she's better than all of them and how she's prettier than all of them. And these girls can't compete with her. I was just like, this is this is giving like very much like narcissist because it's very different from
Yeah.
like it's different from when there's this very popular clip of Issa Rae interviewing Zendaya, and Issa asked her
Hmm.
like, how does it feel to know that no matter what these other girls do, they can't compare to you? And it's funny because Zendaya is really like an it girl, but Zendaya never comes out and
Right.
says it. Everyone just kind of like
But she is
acknowledges
the it
that.
girl.
Yes. And
She is the moment.
Jennifer, yes, she is the moment. Exactly. Like she's blonde now and people are obsessed as they should be. When Challengers comes out, I'm going to like lose my mind, cuz I'm excited for that movie. But with Jennifer, she is like trying to insert herself into the role of it girl.
Right.
It has
This
to
and
be
all of this is new to me. Like, I
mm,
guess kind of this similar to you. Like, I mean, JLo has always been on my radar, but like,
mhm.
I've never really paid like close attention to her. I'm not a stan.
Mm,
So and I knew like the one thing I knew about her was the two things I knew about her is like she and Ben were like the it couple. They were Bennifer and now they're back together, and that she doesn't drink. And I like I guess I just assumed that because she doesn't drink that she must be like really normal and really boring and like not a little freak. And I think she's I think you're right. Like it's giving a little self-involved.
mhm.
It's a little um maybe sometimes the confidence is misplaced.
Yeah.
Um like she is beautiful, and like
Yeah.
I think she has everything that a pop star should have. She's a great dancer.
Mhm.
She is a
Amazing.
passable singer with autotune, and again I think she makes a good rom-com, but
Mhm.
like to be like I am like Gwyneth Paltrow and Winona Ryder don't have shit on me. It's like, first of all, why are we creating this like pointless competition between women?
Yeah.
But secondly, um, they've been like very well respected actors their entire careers. Like,
Hmm.
what's this about?
I wanted to play the video for
Okay.
you because it was like, a little bit better. So maybe I'll just like cut the video into the actual recording. But essentially, the guy, he was a dancer with J.Lo when she did the Motown tribute for the Grammys in 2019. And
Hmm.
he remembers the experience not going very well because she was very I don't know if it was like controlling or whatever it was, but there were not a lot of black dancers in the tribute, even though it's Motown. Motown is a black owned label, and whenever like the black dancers would like kind of like get closer to the center, she would ask them to go back, like move to the back. And then there are all these articles coming out asking like, why is J Lo doing the Motown tribute? She like, why her? And
Yeah.
you know, I guess some of the people that were working with J Lo that also work with the Grammys came to talk to the dancers, and they're like, "We know you guys have been seeing some bad press. We just want to like encourage you guys and let you know everything is cool." And then J Lo comes out, and she's like, "We're gonna show them why I'm doing the Motown tribute." And then she like raises her fist up, and he like loses it. And then there was another dancer who was a black dancer and a woman, and she was great. She was a really good dancer. She was like showing out, but every time she would like obviously do her job, Jayla would also ask her to be pushed to the back. And at the time, he had a hairstyle of like braids of cornrows,
Hmm.
and J Lo was like, "So what are we gonna do with your hair?" As basically telling him to like change his hair for it to be like more Motown, and he did. But everyone else had like modern haircuts, like modern hairstyles, and it was only him
It's
who had to
just
change.
him.
Who had to change his hairstyle. Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah.
Not a good look, J-Lo,
No,
honey.
girl.
Jennifer.
Yes. And I remember that
Um,
vividly when they announced that she was going to do the Motown tribute because I was
that's so
also thinking that.
weird.
And she also included a salsa breakdown as well.
The classic Motown salsa music.
I'm dying. I'm dying because this reminds me of when I watched Halftime, her um like Netflix film about her performing at the halftime show, and I felt like it was weird because she performed with Shakira, and like Shakira's not
Hmm.
really in the documentary, and she also said that she didn't feel like she needed to perform with Shakira, which doesn't make any sense because Shakira is a global star,
Yeah.
ma'am. You're lucky if they recognize you in Australia, if I'm being honest. Like, the people of Latin America know Shakira. They know her well.
Yeah. This is again, all of this is new to me
Mm-hmm.
because I guess I've just never paid attention. But like this is part of the my friend who like approached me and was like, we need to watch this together.
Mm-hmm.
Was like, yeah, it's coming out that like J-Lo is like impossible to work with,
Mm.
really mean, really like, and I was like, this is all blowing my mind. And this has been going on for years, for
Mm-hmm.
like 30 years now.
Yeah, and it's very interesting to see this happen because oftentimes people look at celebrities and they feel like, they're pompous, they're full of themselves, like these people don't deserve the fame that they have. And for me personally, I'm not gonna like unsheath my sword and defend one of these people who could very easily
Right.
change my life if they just sent me like $20,000. Like I don't need to do that. That's not my job. I have a real job to do. You know what I mean? This is for fun. And with J Lo, it feels like she is someone who is like the celebrity that some people like despise. She wants to be heralded
Yeah.
for her work. She wants to be seen as an expert. And even though she is talented and she is hardworking, and her Wikipedia page is long, she's obviously done things. She's obviously accomplished. Like, no one's taking that away from her. However, it feels like she is constantly vying for legendary icon status, but
Hmm.
she lacks the chops to get there. And me, as a Beyonce fan, I could help but look at some of the things she's done and be like, girl, you're not her. Like doing a Netflix documentary about your halftime special after Beyonce did a Netflix documentary about her performance at Coachella, which literally like shook the stage and shook America,
Hmm.
and then you doing this like movie, whatever it is about your album after Beyonce did Black is King, like I'm seeing parallels, you know, and it might be the stand in me, it might be, but also like sometimes if you cannot do, you have to do what other people do.
Mimicking. But also,
Yes.
Beyonce is so prolific. Like, she's released so much.
Mm.
And this is J.Lo's first album in 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and it's like, I mean, Beyonce has kind of earned making about the making documentary. And like I think, making documentaries about like a certain performance that you did or like a an album that you made or whatever is like fine, whatever. Like some people really enjoy getting that kind of like behind the scenes look at like
Mm-hmm.
the creation of like a work of art. So I don't really like I don't care that people are doing stuff like that. I think it's weird for to have like a behind the scenes on like a bad movie
Mm-hmm.
that comes out at the same time, like before the movie even gets to like get cult status for being bad. And also the fact that the documentary is a half an hour longer than the movie itself. That's
Mm-hmm.
weird. Um,
I also felt
but I
like in
mean,
the documentary they didn't have enough for it to
mm,
like be a
yeah,
documentary, which is why a lot of the stuff in there felt like unnecessary and irrelevant and
filler. Yeah.
yes, filler. And I do want to say I've never followed JLo's relationship status. I've only like maybe heard about it through other people. So I know that she was with Mark Anthony and that she was with A
Hmm.
Rod. And I was surprised when she got with Ben because I was like, wasn't she gonna get married to A Rod? And then I found out through Google's that like she left him, I guess, or they broke up, and then she married Ben. And I was like, this is a lot to do. Like even for me, like I stopped talking to a guy for 2 months, and I'm like, I have to stop dating for a year. I can't do it. I need a break. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
to see Ben in a documentary is very interesting because Ben Affleck is a great actor, very accomplished writer, very
Hmm.
accomplished director. But to get to know him personally, I feel like it's interesting because we don't know a lot about his relationship with Jennifer Garner, even though like paparazzi follow her and her kids and him
Hmm.
everywhere they go. He's not really like talking about it or opening up about it, and she isn't either. Not really. Like they keep that pretty private, which I
Hmm.
respect, you know. But obviously, this is different because Jennifer seems to really like attention, and Ben does not because every single time the paparazzi catch him, he has a Starbucks and or
Yeah.
he looks like he's in anguish. So it was interesting to
He
hear
looks
him.
so uncomfortable in the film as
Mm,
well.
girl.
And yes, what limited insider information I have about Jennifer Garner and Ben
Mm-hmm.
Affleck, because I used to go to the same church as them, is that
Oh,
like for quite, I don't know their relationship now because I haven't gone there for a long time.
yeah.
But like for quite a long time after they split up, they were still very amicable, like great, like co-parents,
Mm-hmm.
still brought their kids to church together, that kind of thing.
That's nice.
And yeah, they're just like fucking private about their lives.
Yeah.
This is like weirdly public.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that consistently was like blowing my friend's mind is like in several interviews as well as in the documentary, J-Lo describes her love of Ben from 20 years ago to now like as like the love of her life, and she like lost the greatest love of her life. This is the greatest love story never told. And it's like you were married to Mark Anthony and had you were married to Mark Anthony like 6 months after you broke up with Ben, and were married to him for 10 years and had children together. Are your children not the love of your life?
That's a good question. And I think one part of the documentary people don't talk about is when Ben draws a comparison of his alcoholism to her relationship with attention, which you could say is like an addiction. And I did see a TikTok
Yeah.
about this, which I'm glad because like I feel like no one was really covering that. Like everyone was talking about how like he does look miserable and like he doesn't want to be there. But I think one thing I can appreciate about Ben Affleck is that he's one of very few like white men in Hollywood who like have a platform, have a voice, and he sounds like he has learned something over the years of
Hmm.
his life, and he is like more than happy to share that with people. And one thing he does share is that it just feels like she is more attached to the idea of what people see of her, or like the persona she like portrays, rather than like doing work on herself.
Mm.
Because to
Yeah.
take the time to like ground yourself, to work on yourself, to take the time to examine your relationships, that means possibly just taking some time away from the spotlight. And I don't know, he makes it seem like she can't do that because she literally shared like very personal letters that he wrote to her, and like a book that
Yeah.
he gave her. And he definitely was trying not to sound annoyed, but he was definitely annoyed by it. So
Yeah. It
it's
was
wild.
really, yeah, it was like really personal information that she was like getting out for the cameras. And we were commenting on that at the time
Mm-hmm.
when we were like, you know, 1.5 movies in and shit face. We were like, that's weird.
Mm.
Just pulling out the shoebox full of personal letters for the camera.
Like it's
Like,
proof.
yeah, it's very it's wild.
Yeah.
It's 11 out of 10. Recommend everybody watch these.
I'm gonna be so honest. Like, I tried to get through it, and
Hmm. They're kind of
I
boring, actually.
they're boring, but also like me personally, whenever I'm watching something and I feel secondhand embarrassment or I feel cringe, I have to take a break and I have to pause and I have to step away.
Oh,
And I've
there's a lot of that.
I've tried to rewatch this so many times, and sometimes when I'm watching it, I'm like, girl, I'm 26 years old. And sometimes I feel like I do not have my life together. I'll just say that right now. But one thing that I am confident in is that my L's will never be anyone
Mm.
else's knowledge, never broadcast that to anyone else. And she is broadcasting her
Yeah.
L's. She is broadcasting her woes. She's broadcasting her sorrows. And of course, she's a public figure. Like, we get it, girl. But also, like,
Hmm.
the way that this came together does not feel like the strong Latina woman that she is making us, try to believe that she is. This just, it feels like
Yeah.
a lot of posturing. And I'm gonna be very honest with you. I don't like, why is Fat Joe your therapist? Why am I looking at Kiki Palmer,
Why?
Jane Fonda, Kim Petras, Trevor Noah? Why is
And
Trevor
Neil
Noah here?
deGrasse Tyson.
Oh my God, Jesus,
And
please.
and also Sadhguru. Like the collection of celebrities is
Random.
bizarre.
Strange. She really sent out that mass email to like everybody in her
Hmm.
contacts.
And she
I
got
yeah.
like 12 replies.
I'm not surprised that Kiki said yes, because Kiki will not say no to a check if she feels like it's good. I I support that about her. I do, but I feel like if
It's
this
it was it was strange. It
if
was a
this was meant to
weird
be,
menage.
yeah, this is not the re-entry into music that you should have put out into the world. And the fact that there are
No.
people who have not listened to your music before, like me, and are not well adapted in your music career, like me, and only know things about you, like how Aaliyah sang most of your songs, and how you're a better dancer than a singer, and you have given this to us as a way to prove yourself as a top-notch singer, top-notch performer, top-notch actress, the one to watch. Girl, this was not it. And the
It's
ticket
not
sales just say it all.
anywhere near it.
Mm, because I have never heard of an artist who has had the career of Jennifer Lopez having to restructure a world tour because ain't nobody want to see you live, you know. And it's getting worse now because her ex-boyfriend Diddy is now wanted by Homeland Security, and the streets are saying that you used to sneak illegal firearms into the club for him. So
Jennifer.
it might be that this tour may not happen, girl. You may be going to the C block instead of, you know, Jenny from C block. So
Jenny from C Block. Okay, just I know we've been talking about this for way too long, but like also like the Bronx thing is very funny
it
because
is.
it's like, okay, you moved away when you were 18. You are
Mm-hmm.
now 52. You can't keep saying like I'm from the Bronx. Like, no, girl, you're from LA.
Hmm.
You're from LA.
I mean, there are plenty of celebrities that like are New Yorkers, but there's a difference between like Cardi B and Jennifer Lopez. Like when Cardi B
Yeah.
says she's from the Bronx, it's like, yeah, girl, we know. Jennifer Lopez says she's from the Bronx, it's like, oh, the same one?
But she constantly has to remind us. And it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
you moved out of the Bronx in 1989. You
Mm.
moved to Manhattan and then immediately started working and you've lived in LA for decades now.
Mm.
Like, girl, you haven't been to the Bronx since like I was born.
Mm. Yes. And there was a clip, I know you saw this clip where she like made her hair
Yes.
like crazy. And she's like, this reminds me of when I was in the Bronx and I was doing crazy stuff. I was like, oh, this is, oh, we doing too much
I was
now.
also on our drinking game for the documentary was like any hair fusses or
You know, I always love it when people, like prominent people, public figures, want to open up and be vulnerable because I'm always down to learn. I'm always interested to see people's background and where they come from because a lot of people have very
yeah.
interesting stories and they've been through a lot. Like Mark Ruffalo is someone that I really admire as an actor, as an activist, and he has like
Mhm.
a very interesting story that I always found like to be kind of close to something I've had like friends gone through. So I always admired him for it. So really, and this is me now, I was hoping for something more personal and more vulnerable. And
Right.
I think Ben was right that like it's possible that Jennifer Lopez has not done the work to kind of break down certain things within herself to be able to
Hmm.
open up to people in that way. And saying you're Jenny from the block is not enough for some people, you know?
Hmm. Yeah.
Also, what have you done for the block since you left, Jennifer?
Yeah. What have you done for the community that you left?
Yeah, girl.
Like you want the cred of being from the Bronx. Like you want the cred of being just Jenny from the block and being like humble. Um, but like what ties do you still have to the Bronx?
Mm-hmm.